Today, we're tackling the science of persuasion.
Ooh, sneaky.
We've got this book, Signa. It's by Cialdini, Martin, and Goldstein, and it's packed with, like, 52 research-backed strategies to influence decisions.
52. Wow. And for our listeners who want to, get the most bang for their buck, knowledge-wise, well, this is it. We're going to decode those subtle things that can make a huge difference in how we make decisions.
Exactly. Like, have you ever wondered why stuff ends in, 99 cents? It's not just a marketing trick. There's actual psychology behind it.
Right.
Or have you ever thought about how admitting you don't know something can actually make you more persuasive?
Uh-huh.
We'll even talk about how the place you negotiate can totally change the outcome. Wild, right?
It is. One of the things that really blew my mind in this book is how much of our decision-making happens on autopilot. We think we're being all logical, but a lot of the time it's these little cues we don't even realize are influencing us.
It's like we're running on instinct half the time.
Right.
Like picking a diet plan. You'd think that's all about willpower, right?
Yeah.
But this book, it throws a curveball at that idea.
It does. It talks about how just framing your goals in different ways can totally change how motivated you are.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like in the beginning, when you're trying to lose weight, focusing on the pounds you've already lost is more motivating. But later on, it's actually more effective to focus on the pounds you still need to lose to reach your goal.
So even though the end goal's the same, just changing how you think about it makes a huge difference.
Exactly. Tiny tweak, big impact. And listener, think about this in your own life. Maybe you're leading a team at work, right? How could you reframe a project's goals to keep everyone motivated? Or maybe you're trying to stick to a new workout plan. Could changing how you think about your progress help you keep going?
That's a good point. Now, another thing this book dives into is how to get people to actually stick to their commitments.
Ah, yes.
They describe this experiment on a beach, and it's fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about this one.
So, researchers put a radio on the beach and then staged a theft. They wanted to see who would step in and stop it.
Okay.
And guess what? People were way more likely to stop the thief if they'd agreed to watch the radio before, even just casually.
Wow. So even just saying yes to a small request created this sense of obligation.
Exactly. Like they felt responsible, even though they weren't actually in charge of the radio. Powerful stuff.
It is.
So I'm thinking, how can we use this? Like, let's say you're managing a project. Instead of just assigning tasks, what if you got a verbal yes from each person?
Ooh, I like that.
Like, yes, I'll handle that part.
Right. It's like that little extra step that might make a big difference.
Exactly. Or even with friends.
Yeah.
If you want to make sure someone shows up on time, you could ask them to promise they'll be there by a certain time.
Yeah, that slight change in wording. It could totally change things.
Okay, ready for another one? This one's about appearances, but not in the way you might think.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's about how our brains react to certain things we see, even if we don't realize it.
Interesting.
So there was this social experiment. People were twice as likely to pick up litter if someone in a security guard uniform asked them to, even if it was just an actor.
Really?
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. It's like our brains are programmed to associate uniforms with authority.
Right. We just automatically assume they're in charge.
Right. And what's cool is the researchers said it wasn't about feeling intimidated. It was more about these subconscious associations we have with authority and order.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the book takes it a step further. It says that dressing just slightly better than the people around you can have a similar effect.
Oh, wow.
Like you're projecting competence without being over the top. Especially in professional settings, that subtle edge can make a difference.
Listener, think about it. How do you dress for those big presentations or networking events? Maybe stepping it up a notch could subtly boost how people see you.
It's all about first impressions.
Okay, get ready to have your mind blown. The book argues that admitting you don't know everything can actually make you more credible.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. It's called the expert paradox. We tend to think experts should have all the answers, right? But saying you're not totally sure can make you seem more trustworthy.
Interesting. I would have thought the opposite.
So, imagine a food critic saying, I've only been here once, so I can't say for sure, but they come across as more believable than someone who's absolutely certain about everything.
That's fascinating. It's like admitting you don't know everything shows you're actually thinking things through.
Exactly. And that you're open to different perspectives.
I see. So, listener, think about a time you had to convince someone of something, like at work or even just with a friend.
Yeah.
Could you have used this expert paradox to make your argument stronger?
Okay, now let's talk about negotiations. This next tactic is all about anchoring. It's basically how the first number you throw out can affect the whole deal.
Oh yeah, anchoring is powerful stuff.
Like, say you're buying a car. If the seller starts by saying $15,000, that number becomes an anchor. Your counteroffers are going to be pulled towards that, even if the car's worth less.
Right, it sets the starting point for the whole conversation.
Exactly. So, takeaway here, if you can, make the first offer. Set that anchor yourself.
Absolutely. Control the frame.
And here's a little bonus tip from the book. Using specific numbers, like $2,135, instead of just $2,000, makes you seem more informed and calculated.
That level of detail can really throw people off.
Right. It's like you've done your homework.
It's all about those subtle signals.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. So much of persuasion is about understanding how our minds work, even the irrational parts.
It really is. It's like a secret language we all speak without realizing it.
Right. And we can use that knowledge to our advantage, but ethically, of course.
Always ethically. These are tools, and it's up to us to use them responsibly.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll uncover even more persuasive secrets.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm still thinking about all those persuasion tactics we talked about in part 1. It's wild how these little things can make such a difference.
Right. It's all about the psychology behind it, understanding those hidden triggers that shape how we make decisions. And we've barely scratched the surface.
So what else is in store for us today? Give me the good stuff.
Well, let's talk about the power of scarcity. You know that feeling when you want something even more because it's limited edition or hard to get?
Oh, absolutely. Like limited edition sneakers or a concert with only a few tickets left. Everyone goes crazy for that stuff.
Exactly. This book really digs into that, highlighting something's scarcity, like how rare or limited it is, can make it instantly more appealing. It triggers that fear of missing out, that gotta have it now mentality.
So like those limited time offer sales, they're playing on that scarcity principle.
Absolutely. Think about it. Have you ever bought something you didn't really need just because it was on sale and you thought it might sell out?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
More times than I care to admit. It's like my brain just shuts off and I gotta have it.
And that's exactly it. These principles, they often work beneath our conscious awareness. We think we're being rational, but those decisions are often driven by these subtle psychological cues.
So scarcity taps into our fear of missing out. What about those times when we're not sure what to do, so we just look around to see what everyone else is doing, like following the crowd?
That's where social proof comes in. We're more likely to do something if we see other people doing it, like online reviews. If a product has tons of 5-star reviews, you're more likely to trust it.
Right, like why try some weird off-brand cereal when everyone's raving about the name brand?
Right, exactly. It's a mental shortcut. We figure if a bunch of people like something, it must be good. We're social creatures, we're wired to follow the herd.
So how can we use this ethically, of course, in our own lives?
Think about how you present information. Instead of just saying, this is a great product, try saying, thousands of satisfied customers agree this is a great product.
Ah, I see. So instead of just giving your opinion, you're backing it up with social proof. It's like you're saying, hey, everyone else loves this, you should too.
Exactly. It taps into that inherent desire to conform. And it's not just about sales, Think about leading a team. If you're trying to get everyone on board with a new idea, highlighting how other successful teams have done similar things can make your argument more persuasive.
Okay, I've always been curious about the halo effect. Can you explain what that is?
It's the tendency to judge someone's overall character based on one good trait. Like, if someone's attractive, we might automatically assume they're also smart, kind, and trustworthy.
So, like, first impressions really do matter.
Absolutely. And it's not just about looks. It could be a charming personality, a fancy job title, even a shared interest. That one positive thing can create a halo effect, influencing how we see everything else about that person.
So how can we use this to our advantage without, being manipulative?
It's about being aware of the halo effect and using it to highlight your genuine strength. Like, think about your online presence. Does your LinkedIn profile show off your best accomplishments? When you meet someone new, are you projecting a positive, engaging energy?
It's like putting your best foot forward, not in a fake way, but making sure that first impression reflects your true value.
Exactly. You're not trying to trick anyone, but you are being strategic about how you present yourself.
So we've got scarcity, social proof, and the halo effect.
Hmm.
It's crazy how much goes into persuasion without us even realizing it. But it's important to remember that these tactics should be used ethically, right?
Absolutely. The authors of this book are very clear about that. This knowledge is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. It's up to us to use it responsibly.
Right, because with great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly. These techniques, they shouldn't be used to manipulate or pressure people. It's about using them to communicate effectively, to build real connections, and to create win-win situations.
So it's not about tricks or shortcuts. It's about using this knowledge to connect with people on a deeper level and to build trust.
Exactly. Persuasion works best when it's based on authenticity and mutual respect.
So we've established that being ethical is key. But how do we actually put these ideas into practice in a way that feels genuine? And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the science of persuasion. I gotta say, my mind is officially blown. It's like I'm seeing the world with new eyes after all this.
It's amazing, right? Once you start to see these persuasion principles in action, they're everywhere.
Seriously. Okay, so what other persuasion secrets are we uncovering today? Lay it on me.
All right, let's talk about the power of storytelling. We humans are hardwired for stories. They connect with us on an emotional level, which makes them incredibly persuasive.
So instead of just hitting people with facts and figures, I should try to, weave those into a good story.
Exactly. Think about it. Have you ever sat through a presentation that was just bullet points and you could barely keep your eyes open?
Oh, totally. Death by PowerPoint, am I right?
But imagine someone sharing those same points, but woven into a captivating story. Which one sticks with you? Which one makes you actually want to do something?
The story, hands down. Stories just grab you and make things so much more relatable.
And that's why they're so powerful for persuasion. Listener, think about it. Have you ever found yourself telling a story to convince a friend of something?
Oh, all the time.
It's like the story adds that human touch, that emotional connection that makes your point really hit home.
Right. It's not just information. It's like you feel it.
Exactly. Stories can bypass our logical minds and speak straight to our hearts. Okay, so we've got storytelling. What other advanced techniques can we pull out of this persuasion toolbox?
Give me the good stuff.
Let's talk about persuasion. This is the idea that you can influence someone's decision before they even make it.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds a little like mind control or something. How does that even work? We're talking like subliminal messages here.
Yeah. Huh. It's not quite that dramatic. Think of it more like setting the stage, creating the right environment to make people receptive to your message.
So like you're subtly priming them to see things your way.
Exactly. Let's say you're trying to sell a luxury product. You might subtly surround them with images of wealth and success beforehand, like through your marketing, or even just the atmosphere of your store.
Ah, so by the time they even see the product, they're already in that mindset, aspiring to that lifestyle.
Precisely. You're not forcing anything on them, but you're subtly nudging their perception, influencing their emotional state.
It's like planting a seed in their subconscious. Then when they see your product, bam, the seed starts to grow.
That's a great way to put it. And persuasion, it goes beyond selling products. Think about using it in your everyday life. Say you're trying to get your partner to try a new restaurant. Maybe you mention how much you've been craving Thai food all week. Or you leave a magazine open to a page with delicious-looking Thai dishes.
Ooh, sneaky. I like it.
Remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about being aware of how our surroundings and our past experiences shape how we see things.
So you're basically creating the perfect environment for your message to take root.
Exactly. And that's what makes persuasion so interesting. It's not just about the words you use, it's the whole package. The context, the subtle cues, the emotions you tap into.
This has been an incredible journey, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of the whole persuasion thing.
It's something you can keep learning about your whole life. The more you explore human psychology and the art of influence, the more you realize how much there is to discover.
And what's so cool is this isn't just theory. These are techniques we can all start using right now to better communicate, influence decisions, and reach our goals.
Absolutely. So as we wrap things up, listener, I want you to consider this. Now that you know about these persuasive techniques, how have they been used on you before? Were there times when you were subtly influenced without realizing it? And now that you have this knowledge, how can you use it to make smarter, more informed decisions?
That's a great point to end on. It's not just about influencing other people, it's about understanding the influences around us all the time. So stay curious, keep learning, and thanks for joining us.